Welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices, where the topic is out of the mouths of Black Republicans. So I was saying it's getting down to where we will need to revitalize that Green Book, or here in San Antonio, the Black Book, and know where the Black businesses are, know where the safe zones are, because it's bad enough having these white MAGA folks acting a fool, but when you've got Black MAGA folks acting the fool, also saying the most outlandish things, it makes you wonder, you know, how much looking over my shoulder that I'm gonna have to do. And we shouldn't have to live like that. But these Black Republicans who are spewing out these messages, uh, they're only sweetening the pot for these white Republicans to do away with affirmative. They've already done away with affirmative action. All of the implications behind Brown versus Board of Education, rolling back our civil rights to vote. They're already magnifying those efforts more with a lot of statements that they have. And again, I have to wonder what type of pillow talk messaging is going on between these these Black Republicans and other pundits who have non-Black spouses or partners.
Something that I heard one of the um, representatives in Tennessee say, he talked about having a resurrection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's exactly what we have to have today is a resurrection. The resurrection needs to be that black folks resurrect the 1960s, okay? We come back and do the things, whether they be in a new style or whether they be done in the same style that was done back in the 60s. But it seems like we've got to redo those things and reclaim those things that we have lost. So a resurrection to me is appropriate for what we need to be doing.
So going back to bringing back the Black Panthers, bringing back who else?
Snick.
SNCC,
Mm-hmm.
bringing back just bringing back a lot of those messagings from those groups, bringing back New Jack City, just bringing back all those things that we felt made us a community. Because let's just face it, I was listening to YouTube, and again, uh, it's bad enough, I'm hearing from these MAGA folks, but when we're on YouTube disparaging one another, saying why we can't marry one another, saying why we can marry other folks but not us. All to me, all that contributes to this messaging that uh, it's appropriate to get rid of since we're not getting along, or the appearance of us not getting along, or on code with one another. It only gives the appearance that if they're not on code, then we can go ahead and do what we need to do. And that is, to me, is the biggest implication of the messaging of these folks, that they're telling the powers to be that let's go ahead and do, because they don't support one another anyway.
Well, let me go back to a question that you asked earlier. Are they affecting us in the black community? Um, I don't know. I don't think that they are, but I think more importantly that they're affecting us in the white community. Because when you have white people who don't understand the history of black folks, the culture of black folks, and then you've got a black person who is quote unquote a leader, and that black person says, uh, you were better off with Jim Crow than you are today, they begin to think, well, maybe that's true because they've said it.
That's deep. Because a lot of when I was teaching African American literature and history, some of the white folks wanted to know, why haven't we been taught this?
Right.
And they were almost appalled that they never learned a lot of stuff in that course. And there were some black folks saying, well, I hadn't heard about this either. So it all goes down to education
Right.
and understanding how we moved back then, our history, our strengths and our weaknesses, build up those weaknesses to where they become our strengths and keep going. And a lot of white folks are co-opting. They're co-opting everything that we do, to where They're trying to take away everything. So how do we reclaim that? Reclaim that.
Um, the only thing I can say to that is that we are going to have to. This is the only education that white folks may get, okay? Because they're not getting it in schools. You got DEI and different things like that that are coming into effect now. They're getting rid of affirmative action, different things like that. So the people who are listening to these leaders, like the Byron Donalds and so forth, they are the ones who are always going to be the people that white folks may listen to. And that's detrimental to the black community.
So, when you listen to the Byron Daniels, and he has some concerns about black marriage, it's kind of like, well, you're not even married to a black woman,
Right.
okay? But a few shows back, we talked about the trad wives. So I suspect that these black MAGA politicians are just repeating what they're hearing their white colleagues, what they want in terms of trad wives, women stay at home, women not voting, having more of a collective vote for each house. Of course, just make abortion totally illegal in the country. No birth control. These black Republicans may be supporting that just to stay in the game with their white counterpart. And so if they're believing this and mouthing about this, then it's going to impact the black community hard if they start pushing legislation, which is in their 2020 plan.
Well, let's look at this in a different way. Those black leaders like the Tim Scotts, the Byron
Daniels.
McDonald's, is it? Okay, whatever his name is.
And is Donald's.
So my question is, maybe where they run, black folks aren't electing them anyway. So are they only appealing to the people who vote for them and for their own jobs to be able to keep their jobs in that? So that's why they make these statements. Could that be the reason?
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
Which means that it comes down to they have no regard for their people. They only have regard for themselves and what they can do to be able to help themselves. So if they need to step on our neck to be able to elevate themselves, then that's what they will do.
So the king is stepping on our neck right now is Clarence Thomas.
Right.
Because we already know that what he can do as a Supreme Court justice, and we already know that he's getting paid gifts in the millions of dollars, probably for his support they're not called legislation. Maybe it is legislation for support of cases that favor white supremacist ideas and support those cases that could put those rights and privileges that were given to black folks and other underserved populations, remove those opportunities from them as well. So what do you think?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, that's what's going to have to be done.
So we have a lot of male and female Uncle Ruckuses.
Right, right.
We do. And they are dangerous. They are dangerous. They are dangerous. So with that being said, we're going to take a quick break and see who's at the front door, and we'll be right back.